Hi, this is Tracy Yardley. I'm one of the artists on Archie Comics' Sonic the Hedgehog comic books. You can check out the reviews on YouTube on Megabeatman's True Blue Reviews.
Greetings everyone! Welcome to part 2 of Sonic and Mega Man Worlds Unite. Before I get started, I want to point out a couple of things people mentioned in the comments. First, the vial design. Turns out it's a recreation of his original concept art, which depicted him with an extra cannon and a morning star. Makes me wonder if the morning star was going to be made of hard light or not. Thanks Justice Act 2 for pointing this out. Next is the whole virus thing from the Mega Man X series. Yeah, I kinda flubbed up on that information there, folks. Part of it's because of me relying too much on my memory and not doing proper research. Another part's due to the confusion of the viruses in the games themselves. The Zero virus was actually made in Mega Man X5 when the Sigma virus and the virus on the space colony Eurasia combined when said colony crashed on the planet. The purpose of the virus was to turn Zero back into what Wily built him to be. The main virus of the series, the Maverick virus, came from Wily, and it leaked out when Zero escaped being sealed. And the reason Zero was sealed? He was a psychopath just like he was in his flashback in X4. The Maverick virus did merge with Sigma to become the Sigma virus, and the Maverick virus had the opposite effect on Zero, turning him calm and rational. I like to thank both Thanatos Zero and Shay Ketchum for pointing this out. And if I missed anything important or need some correcting, do not be afraid to point this out in the comments section, folks. Alright, onward with the crossover. Where we last left off, Sigma, somehow having control over the Genesis portals, journeyed into Sonic's world, where he forced Eggman, Wily, and the Deadly Six into his service. On the recommendation of the doctors, Sigma had the Deadly Six kidnap Sonic and Mega Man, and the issue ended with the Blue Heroes about to be transformed by the doctors. So what's going to happen next? We begin with Sonic fighting Eggman? Oh, I'm sorry, I got confused. These are the Boom versions of the Sonic cast, and the fight here is actually a rehash of the one from the last issue of Sonic Boom. Time for some backstory. In issues 6 and 7 of Sonic Boom, Boom Eggman challenged Boom Sonic and his friends to a go-kart race. Everyone was on board with it except for Styx the Badger, who believed it was another Eggman scheme. Which it was. Despite this, Boom Sonic was about to win legitimately. Being a sore loser, Boom Eggman transformed his go-kart into a spider mech to attack everyone, which is what we're seeing right here. It's oddly convenient that the race elements were removed in this issue, probably for the benefit of the new readers. Another difference between issue 7's fight and this one is that at the end, Styx was flung into the jungle thanks to some debris. Here, she outright misses the mech and flies deeper into the jungle. So that's it for the main Boom cast, except for Styx, who crashes into a coconut tree. A Genesis portal opens up and out emerges X, Zero, and Axel. Styx hides to avoid detection. Axel reveals that the Hunters missed their mark, despite using Sigma's devices and Silver's directions. Wait a minute, Silver? As in Silver the Hedgehog? Apparently so, since Axel mentions his experience at closing portals instead of opening them. And according to the caption box, all this will be explained in one of the battle books coming up. Speaking of closing portals, whoops, at least X takes comfort that the situation is stable back home. Then he suggests asking the locals for help. Zero has doubts about this, and then a boomerang hits him in the head. Styx appears, and while she's heard the conversation, she misinterprets the Maverick Hunters' intentions. As she tries to describe the local village, X clarifies that they're not here to harm life. They're just hunting down a fugitive from his world. This somehow leads to Styx correctly summarizing the basic idea of the X series, which she imagined after eating too many s'mores. Then, we get the appearance of these two characters. I'll quickly explain their deal. The chimp is called Comedy Chimp. He's a prominent television personality and movie star that currently hosts a show known as the Comedy Chimp Show. Despite his name, sometimes his jokes fall flat.
And the number one reason you might get attacked by Sonic the Hedgehog? You've been telling jokes about him all week on your late night show.
But generally, he's a decent person. The beaver here is called Fastidious Beaver. I didn't name these guys, folks. And speaking of names, for those who watch my Sonic Boom comic reviews, I've accidentally called him Fastidious Beaver. This is again my faulty mind confusing things. In this case, fancy F words. To make sure this doesn't happen again, I'll just refer to him as the Beaver. Anyway, the Beaver is the local librarian of the village, and he has a habit of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know, being a librarian might explain his obsession with grammar.
The winner will be whoever makes it through.
Actually, it's whomever.
Comedy Chip was in the race with Sonic, Eggman, and the others. Eggman got rid of him by making him crash his own cart. The Beaver was the flag waver, and at the end of issue 7, he was eating a corn on the cob, which he's tossing right here. Hooray for continuity! Back to the story. 6 drafts to tune into her services, and the faces of the Maverick Hunters here really sell their reaction. They head over to Boom Eggman's base to try and find an interdimensional portal. They run into Boom, Orbot, and Cubot as the two were discussing 7.5 paint jobs for one robot, and Eggman wanting more variants. Get it? Orbot and Cubot try to act intimidating, but fail miserably. So Zero shows them how it's done. Zero wants them to get an interdimensional portal ready without alerting anyone. So they did. Now, how did Boom Eggman get a hold of one of these things? We'll say Sonic Boom and move on. The machine does its job and creates a Genesis portal. Back to the main plot. Sigma's actually in favor of the Doctor's plan to turn our heroes into robotic minions for his evil plan. Sigma then leaves the Doctors alone for an hour to continue their work. As the two converse, Eggman realizes Wily doesn't remember him due to Mega Man fixing his world. So, being his manipulative self, Eggman mentions Dr. Light. This catches Wily's attention, and Eggman begins summarizing the first crossover, Worlds Collide, which I did in my intro video for this crossover, so I can gloss over this. However, there are a couple of things I should point out. First, Eggman and Wily's first meeting is a bit different. On the Mega Man side of things, it's pretty much the same. For the Sonic side, it depended on the continuity. In the old continuity, Eggman's on the Death Egg yelling at his minions to find his missing Chaos Emerald. In the new continuity, one of Eggman's recent experiments turned out badly for him. The experiment in question? Yep, it happened after the events of Sonic Generations. It was thanks to that event that one of the Chaos Emeralds ended up in Mega Man's world, and thanks to Wily, Eggman got out of the White Void. Though this does raise some questions which I will address in the comments. The second thing is Eggman twisting certain facts, namely the attempted murder on Dr. Light. He lied to Wily, saying that Thomas created the rumor to force a rift between the two of them. Wily's dubious about this at first, but Eggman plays on Wily's jealousy of Light so well, he buys it, and thus the bromance is reborn. Though there's still Sigma they have to deal with. The plan is to rig some coding so that when Sonic and Mega Man meet, they'll attack each other and restore themselves to normal. They'll be so mad at Sigma that they won't notice the Doctors using the Unity engines to their advantage. Sigma soon returns and the Doctors want him to witness the transformation firsthand. And now we have a 2-pager of Mega Man and Sonic transforming and having their memories altered. Back in Mega Man's world, everyone's worried about Rock. Otto points something out on the television, which is a news story about an attack courtesy of a new mysterious robot. Dr. Light doesn't see Rock's disappearance and the attack as coincidence, and has Gutsman get the rest of the Lightbots to stop the robot. In downtown Mega City, the mysterious robot owns the police. Based on its movements and its ring projectiles, I think we can guess who it is. We return to Sonic's world, this time going to the hero's flying airship, Sky Patrol. Tails informs Sally that there's no sign of Sonic, and Nicole picks up a transmission from Mobotropolis. King Acorn tells them that they're under attack by a badnik they've never seen before. Before I continue, some of you not familiar with the Sonic comic might be wondering who these characters with tails are. I'll quickly explain. This person here is Sally Acorn, Princess of the Acorn Kingdom and leader of the Freedom Fighters. She and a bunch of others fled Mobotropolis a long time ago due to Eggman taking over. Inspired by Sonic's actions, she created the Freedom Fighters to fight back against Eggman. Together with Sonic's help, they saved the city and her father, the King. She's also known to be the team's tactician, but is known to make blunders from time to time. Finally, her primary weapons are ring blades, This person, for lack of a better word, is Nicole, a living artificial intelligence. A scientist created her in an attempt to save his dying daughter. It didn't work, but instead of wasting the program, he gave Nicole to Sally as a gift. Also, the scientist was responsible for giving Sally her ring blade. At first, Nicole acted like a generic computer, giving logical answers and the like. However, the process to save the scientist's dying daughter caused Nicole to gradually change over time until she gained full sentience. She even created a holographic body to interact with her friends, and using a power ring, her Link's form can manifest as long as the ring has enough energy. Onward to the last page. A mysterious figure declares he must destroy the castle and everyone inside. And we end this part with a look at our transformed heroes. Meet Megaman and Sonic Man. First of all, I would like to once again thank Sonic comic artist Lamar Wells for making this. And yes folks, it's another select screen featuring 8 characters, with Sigma, Eggman, and Wily in the middle. If you want to see this and more of Lamar's art, I put a link to his DeviantArt page in the descriptor below. Where to begin with this issue? Well, at least we got a cameo of most of the Sonic Boom cast. Yeah, this is pretty much it for these guys, folks. Speaking of cameos, it was interesting for Comedy Chimp and the Beaver to appear and accompany Styx and the Hunters. Now, I've read in the forums that people aren't happy with these two tagging along. I have some thoughts on this too, but I'll wait until this plot thread picks up later. Remember, it ended with another Genesis portal activation. They may or may not tag along with Styx and the Hunters. Speaking of Styx and the Hunters, I actually like their interaction. Styx is her usual conspiracy nut and helpful self, but here we get to see a rare side of X. He's kind, compassionate, and embraces the silliness. Usually we see him fighting or complaining about fighting.
Why must Reploids fight one another? I've had enough violence.
Somehow, this interaction of elements from 2 different franchises work. We have one of the goofiest Sonic franchises known for its slapstick humor and fourth wall breaking. And we have one of the darkest parts of the Mega Man franchise, featuring war, death, and sacrifice. Heck, Zero here has died twice. Well, once and he was rebuilt, and the second time he actually hit himself to repair himself. It'll be interesting to see them interact with more characters once they enter the main plot. Ah, the main plot. A lot of the Eggman and Wily scenes had Eggman recapping Worlds Collide. It might be there just to get new readers caught up with the events of the first crossover, so it works I guess. It does serve the purpose of showing how Eggman made contact with Wily in the new universe, right after Sonic Generation. This brings up some questions. First, what happened to classic Eggman? He was trapped in the void with modern Eggman. Was he sent home just before modern Eggman and Wily got started on Worlds Collide? Another question involves this line in issue 252. Tails mentioning that they haven't seen Silver since the incident with the Wisps. Many people, myself included, would assume Sonic colors. But if the comic elements of Sonic Generations happen similar to the game, then Silver would have to be present at these events. You know, this makes me wish for story arcs featuring proper adaptations of Sonic games from the new universe perspective. Anyway, the bromance is back thanks to Eggman taking advantage of a naive Wily and lying about Dr. Light, who sees this backfiring later on. I'm surprised that the Doctor's backstabbing Sigma plan is going smoothly, considering, you know, Sigma. We'll see where this goes. We now have Sonic and Mega Man getting the roboticized master treatment. It's a nice callback to the first crossover where Sonic's friends were turned into the Doctor's servants. Ironic that the ones that could change Sonic's friends back are now getting the treatment. This time, there's a more personal touch based on which hero the Doctor's worked on. Mega Man. First, clever naming. Second, the design alone screams Eggman influence, with elements of his jacket, symbol on the helmet, and it even has an egg stash on each end. With Sonic Man, it looks like he would fit in perfectly in Mega Man's world, plus the giant W on the forehead. I should point this out because I know someone in the comments will. This is the first time we've seen Sonic turned into a robot in the new continuity. In the old continuity, he was turned into a robot not once, but twice. You might have noticed that the artist changed. While Dan Shooting did the breakdowns, the finishers were done by Tracy Yardley. Tracy's always done great work on the Sonic stuff. His Mega Man stuff, not that good. But it's better here because 2 years have passed. Plus, again, Dan's breakdowns. Delgado's once again the colorist, and it looks nice. I'm giving part 2 a 7. Overall, it feels more like setup. And I understand that. I just hope next time you start seeing some payoff. Until then, have a good day, and be safe. The conversation between Orbot and Cubot, it's a nod to Sonic Universe 75 having 7.5 variant covers because one of the covers featured Eggman.